What's up, everybody? Welcome to the show. This is Coffee and Critique featuring your host, Zain. We're just playing some music in the background. We're going to have a very special guest join in on the room.
Hey, hold on.
Up, she's here.
Telly, she ain't never in my crib. Say a BD Jack and GD, we gon' catch him in the field. I couldn't never love her cause
Hello.
Hi,
How's it going? How's your day been?
pretty good. How about you?
Good. Just got back into the house, set up the gear and everything. It was a beautiful day outside.
Awesome.
Sweet. So, do anything new with the music today?
Today, no, but yesterday I just sent in the album that I've been working on for mixing and mastering. So
Oh,
that's
sweet.
exciting.
Tell the people
Yeah.
about that a little.
Okay, so I guess I got to start at the beginning of quarantine.
Yeah.
When all this went down, I came out to California for a gig. My sister is also a singer, and I came to sing backup vocals on her gig. And then everything happened. So I haven't left California. I came out here with a bag for 5 days, and now I'm still here.
Oh, wow. So you were in New York, and then now you're in Cali
Yeah, just temporarily.
temporarily.
For now. So I came out here for a gig. Everything went crazy. You know, as everyone having a hard time with, like, what are we doing with life?
Yeah.
And it just so happens, like, my best friend, Ryan, who is normally a guitar tech for the band 311, he was here, and I hit him up one day to ask him for some help on recording stuff. And he was like, just come to my studio. He was like, we'll stand 6 feet apart. Like, we'll practice this and thing, but just come to my studio, like, let's record. So then I recorded a single with him. And then it just happened. He was like, let's record your album. Let's do it. And I'd finished my album in January, meaning I just finished writing it. And I kept asking the universe, I'm like, where am I recording my album? I had offers, I had opportunities come up, and then this happened. So
Everything
so
happens
I've been
for a
recording
reason,
my
right?
album. Yeah, I've been recording my album since the beginning of quarantine. So it'll hopefully come out in May or June, depending on how things roll out. Yeah, I know that's a long story, but I feel like all of those are important.
No,
details.
that's definitely important detail. What I wanted to know really was in terms of like you like I've heard a lot of your tracks. I want to know, like, how do you stay motivated in this particular time? Do you feel like you have more time than needed to kind of get creative, or is it putting a damper on your creativity by not being able to kind of go outside?
It's interesting. The thing about it is I've been on this trajectory again, because basically I stopped playing music for 5 years, and about 2 years ago I started again. So I had a long period of not playing out, not sharing music, and focusing on other creative things. But so the way that I've healed in that 2-year period, dealing with grief, other life changes, moving to New York City, all kinds of things. The way I've dealt with that is through songwriting, through art, through music, through creativity. So I've always used creativity as a way to heal. So during this time, I've been surprised at how motivated I am, even though circumstances are crazy. I think that, I don't know, we're a part of history right now.
Absolutely. We've been going through some things that we've been through a lot, but like stuff like this particular quarantine in general, like, nah, y'all have to stay inside. Y'all can't do this. Everything is shut down, like especially when they shut down major stores, malls, and whatnot. Because we thought, oh, this is gonna last for a week or maybe 2 weeks. And then a month goes
knew.
by, and then 2 months go by. I'm like, oh no, this is real. This is a little different. And I know like some creatives, they stay home, they're good. A lot of people, it just don't work like that. They draw their creativity being around other people
From the outside.
Yeah, from the outside world. So me personally, I shoot a lot of models And I realized, like, I didn't start off with shooting models. I was shooting like, like landscape, nightscape at night. I was I was doing like still life with like statues and whatnot. So I'm saying it's kind of bringing me back to my roots and kind of forcing me to remember how I really fell in love with photography in the first place. I don't know if that might be the same with you, where you kind of feel like maybe this is taking me back to basics and without the the pressure of society always
Noise.
watching. Yeah, the noise of the outside world. So I don't know if this might be
Well,
comforting. So
Oh, well, it's interesting you say go back to your roots because I'm literally in my childhood bedroom.
oh wow. Look at
So,
that.
so I've also been like, healing my actual roots, like around like being around my family. I haven't lived with my family. I lived with my family for a short stint, like in my mid-20s, but I haven't lived with my family this long since I was like a teenager. So,
Wow.
so it's like also like learning how to relate and live with my family again because I've been on my own with a lot of their support, but also revisiting my childhood and my creativity connected to my childhood. Like I used to sit in my bed used to be this way, and I used to sit in that corner late at night listening to albums with headphones like this,
Wow.
like back in the day, and like really deep into albums, like, and I still do that. So it's like reminding, and even I have pictures of my like younger self right here. So yeah, definitely been revisiting my roots. And then, I mean, when you're in a scene of any kind, like you can get really caught up in like the drama, like the dynamics, like what other people are doing. And since I moved to New York City, like you can get really caught up in that, or you can just really focus on your craft and put your 10,000 hours into your craft. And so I was already doing that. So the quarantine has just like turned up the volume on me focusing on my craft without any distractions. Like I can't go to bars. I can't go on dates. I can't do any of that. So I've been really focused on healing myself, like being around my family, healing them, writing poetry, listening to music, writing music.
Yeah,
it's been a really productive time for me, I guess.
Right. You got to take something out of it. Like that's, I think, the most important is like, oh yeah, well now I have no distractions, so I really have no excuse to kind of do what I actually want to do, like love and whatnot. So in the process of like writing, like the music, now that you have no distractions, really, do you have the songs playing in your head as you're writing, or do you write the words like poetry, and then you're like, you know what, I think that I'm gonna play music to the way I'm saying it out loud? Like, what's the process of like you kind of putting your words on paper and adding like sonic music to that?
I would say it's a pretty intuitive process. I don't think that there's nothing linear about the experience, and that's, I guess, I mean, I've written like almost about 100 songs this year, and not all of them are viable. Like I'd consider like 30 to 35 of them viable. Like I record all of them on my phone. I document all of them. Like, what are the guitar parts? I document it all.
Okay.
But when I actually sit down, I'm never like, I'm going to write a song. It's like, I'm holding the guitar and I'm playing something else, or I'm thinking about something I'm going through. And I kind of am like, usually I guess the melody comes in first. And I'm like, okay, like what does that emotion sound like? And I'm not saying that question is like actually what I'm saying. It's just an intuitive process of being like, because I've been exercising this muscle now really consistently for the last 2 years. I've just been like, well, I mean, for years, I've been writing songs for like 14 years. So
wow.
Now it's like you have a relationship with a side of yourself. It's kind of like talking to the universe or talking to God. You know, it's like not something you can point to, but I can say that the more that I allow myself the freedom to write 5 songs and get one, like I call it throwing pasta on the wall. So I'm like, is this one going to stick? Is this one going to stick? Like, I'm not focused on perfection. I'm focused on like just letting the emotions and letting the energy flow rather than being like, oh, this song isn't perfect, so I'm not gonna make it. It's like, oh, I'm gonna mess with this song for like, I'm gonna mess with this song for like an hour or a day and see where it takes me. And oftentimes, like the first version of the song, I write 5 different kinds of songs that leads to one.
Oh, okay. So it's kind of like a build up into that one. All right, these are the emotions that I'm getting to, which is kind of translating to this one song, and then that one song that you have is like, all right, this is kind of collective of like what I've been feeling, and I think it translates well as a whole that people could kind of relate to, because I know there's certain things that I do that might be relatable to me, but then it takes a few more projects of the same series to kind of get out there. Like I did a project on this, like it was like writing kind of on the body of different things that women were like being criticized on. So at first it started off with like regular pen, and then I decided to have it where it looked like it was carved into the person's skin and whatnot, and then she was like vulnerable, and as a collective it was just like, wow, it was really like something else. Like I had intended it to be one thing, and then it just turned into so much more. So I was like, oh wow. So then people started to, that was like probably one of the groundbreaking moments of like my photography, was like making a statement. And then I was like, I think I'm gonna just do that, because that one came from the heart, opposed to it just like, oh, what's gonna be popping on Instagram,
That's totally backwards. If you're thinking about what everyone's, the thing about songwriting, and that's something I noticed about younger songwriters now that I'm 31, and I look at younger songwriters, and I look at my own young songwriting, I'm like, I was writing about a direct experience that happened to me, which is healthy. Like, I think that that's good to like channel your creative energy. And some people, like, that is like how to make their money. Like, I wrote about my life and my story, and that is like what pops me off, right?
Yeah.
But if it's not true, if what you're doing is not true, it doesn't matter how many followers you have. If what you're doing doesn't feel good, then the numbers don't matter, If you can be making millions and still be unhappy, it doesn't matter.
And
but
yeah, that's definitely important.
What I was trying to get to around songwriting is that it's like, for me, what's been important is like, okay, this is my experience. This is something that happened to me, and that's my story. But how can I tell my story and also tell the human story?
And what approach did you think that was like, that you found? Like, it's like, all right, this is somewhat working.
I think, I had a roommate when I lived in Bushwick. It's October, and she said something to me that like really, I think, changed my songwriting. Because as a songwriter, as a musician, I think sometimes it's like, oh, you want to be impressive, or you think like, oh, this chord progression, like people are going to resonate with it, like it sounds like something or somebody, or like sometimes you get attached to a genre or a way of writing. And my roommate, she said to me, she's like, whatever you do, just make sure it's true and make sure it's your voice. And her saying that to me made me be like, well, what is my voice? I'm not sure. Like, I've been trying to sing loud forever. I've been trying to make my voice be something it's not for my entire life. And now, I sing quiet. My record, like, I'm not yelling in your ear.
But I hear it from the soul, and it's loud. So I feel like.
Thank you for saying that. Because I've been trying to be loud, and I don't think that there's a quote, I can't remember. Oh, it's a Gandhi quote. It's like, in a quiet way, you can shake the world.
And I believe that. Because there's certain things that you don't really have to say too much to really make an impact. Sometimes you don't even have to say nothing, and you can leave a major impact on somebody's life.
Yes, and I don't think people need me to be yelling at them right now. I think people, like, my record is meant to heal people. And what I think about music, and what I've always believed about music, and why I I've always wanted to write songs is because I'm like, there's that one person out there that's been waiting to be understood.
Yeah. And sometimes
I've been that person.
Right? And it's awesome when you perform and you reach maybe one or two people, but it's like, yo, I'll take that, you know? I'll take that.
I don't care if I'm performing for an audience of one. Like, that audience of one, I'm gonna make you feel like,
right?
It's for you. This is not about like it doesn't, with thousands of followers, it doesn't matter.
Yep. And I'm
like it, and I think that's what this whole quarantine thing has done.
It will open up a lot of people's eyes. It's like, you don't have to be an entertainer for everybody. Like, don't try to cater your content just to be for that one person. Like, and it's very important that you take that approach. Some artists, they think of success based on the level of followers or likes. And I was like, I know some artists that don't even pass like 300 followers and they have amazing work. So I'm just saying to myself, like, it doesn't matter how many followers you have. It matters what you're saying is true and that you keep doing it regardless of who's watching you. That's what's really important.
It's not about being famous. It's like, how can you sustain and enjoy what you're doing so that you don't hate your life?
Exactly.
Like, if you don't like writing songs, then don't do it. If you would rather sing covers, like, and that's your thing, like, make that your thing. I worked for a brand that had over 100,000 followers, and that didn't make them more happy. Like, they were very unhappy, and I ran their Instagram for them, and I remember just being like, no one even like what you're doing. So,
but it's what's selling. That's what they say. It's what's selling.
Yeah, I know, but like, I don't know. I guess as an art, I've always been so much more focused on, especially in the last 2 years, I'm like, how is it making me feel? Like, do I feel like garbage when I'm making my doing my thing? Do I make, like, because that's also like, if you're making something that you don't believe in, then like, how is that going to resonate with anybody?
You're absolutely right. Do you feel like you are hitting your personal goals as of like recently? If you set any for yourself, like, are you in that mode where like, I'm just making music because I love it and I'm sharing a piece of my world, not for your validation, but it's just like, is that the process that you're like, you feel like you're hitting your personal goals?
I guess my personal goal, especially because I stopped playing music for so long, has been, when I perform, I want to be able to enjoy that process, because I come from like a jazz classical background, and you spend so much time being very self-critical about your art. And so when I think about goals, I feel like I've reached my goal in the sense of like, I feel like my voice is like natural to me. And so when I perform and when I sing, even just by myself, like, it's very healing for me to be able to enjoy that performing and not like being mean to myself or not just like letting it flow. When it comes to personal goals, like creatively, like I mean, I just recorded my album, so that's like something I really wanted to do because I haven't put out a record since 2014. So yeah, I guess I would say I'm reaching my personal goals, but I don't. This is a mysterious path. And I feel like I think it's guiding me. Like, I wouldn't say that I'm in charge of what my path is right now.
That's fair enough.
I don't think any of us. So yeah, I mean, I feel very grateful for the opportunities I've gotten to play with the musicians and feeling like I'm understood by the people I'm surrounded by creatively. But like hard goals, I guess finishing the album is one. So I feel grateful for that.
Yeah, that's also another process people don't really understand, is the amount of time and effort it takes to work on a collective project such as an album, and working on each song, and then I gotta pick these songs because they kind of convey the collective emotion that is like like how can I make each of these tracks relatable not only to myself but also to people and whatnot. Like if you relate to it, you relate to it. But I feel as a collective, it works better. Like I don't know if you heard the album with Drake, Nothing Was the Same. That's probably one of my most favorite albums.
I probably know it if I saw the picture.
It's the classic one where he's like, it's like a painting of a child like looking sideways with the blue sky in the background, like, and he's like,
oh yeah.
I love that record. Yeah, that one was pretty dope, and I felt like that's the kind of album that you hear as an entirety opposed to just hearing one song at a time, and I feel yeah, what are you saying?
Oh, I was just gonna say that it's not fast.
No, it's not.
The process of writing an album is years of collecting data. And that's when I say collecting data, like I say that all the time to my friends, like when they're like, oh, like I haven't made anything in a while. I'm like, you're collecting data. Like, I collected data for like 5 years just playing piano and like learning guitar slowly in my house in Portland, Oregon. Like and this album is like 7 songs, and one of them was just written a few weeks ago, and the rest of them either were written in like November and December and January, or some of them were written like a couple years ago. So it's like an album can be something you wrote really fast, or it can be something that you like spent time being like, what is the story? And the story like forms itself. Like I bet if we asked Drake, he would be like, I didn't know that there was like a specific vision. Like I just was doing it. Like when you're in process, you're kind of like, what's that? Like it's like being a mad scientist, or throwing things in the pot and being like, oh,
just
maybe
mixing it and just be like, all right, this is what we're gonna get out of this. I was like, I'm feeling this, I'm feeling that. Now, you're absolutely right. It's this collective of a lot of things. Like I recently put out like a master book, and it was a collective of my work since 2014 until like 2019. Mm-hmm. Not only did I see my progression, but I was definitely collecting a data of that kind of translated into like my style. And I was like, oh wow, it's interesting seeing the growth and to see what your mindset was at that particular moment in time. So I'm sure you listened to your songs and were like, wow, I must have been going through it.
Yeah, I'll be like, oh, I was going through it. And then I'll also be like, oh, I was trying to sing like that. Like, oh, I was listening to a lot of that and I was trying to make that. Like, I don't know. It's like, but that's also the process of finding your voice, is not knowing what your voice is, and like singing someone else's voice and then being like, ooh, that like is uncomfortable. That's like not even me.
Right? It's like sometimes it's like, all right, I need, like, I remember who came out. I forgot. There was an artist that came out, but he sounded like another artist. And every time I would hear him, I was like, yo, you just sound like this one artist. Like he sounded like, I think it was like, he sounded like Trey Songz. So anytime that I would hear him, he just sounded like Trey Songz to me. But eventually he actually switched it up. I think it was either between an artist named LA or what's his name? Bryson Tiller. Between both of them, they had like a particular, in the beginning, had a sound that like, wow, you sound like this artist, and then eventually they changed. And you're like,
actually, oh, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, like, now you can kind of hear that, kind of like where their influences came from.
Well, and I think the best artists, like, let's look at her, for example. Like,
oh, yes,
she's amazing. You know why? Because you can tell she has collected a lot of data, and you can tell she doesn't have a genre. Like, yeah, you could put her in the R&B genre. You could put her in the soul genre. When you listen to her record, that's like the biggest one, you're like, oh, you're an amalgam of like all of the best genres. Yeah,
she like you. I can't. You could put her in different places. Like
you can put her in a category. You can try.
You could try, but it's kind of tough, especially when you like. I saw her live in the Barclay.
Oh, she's an alien.
My soul lifted.
Yeah,
it lifted.
She's powerful.
Yeah, yep. It was her and Erykah Badu at the concert. Yeah, both of them. Yeah, it's just like when you're just being yourself, you create your own genre.
Like, well, and when you're being it's also just like you can tell when an artist is it feels good, you know? And I don't know, I look back at videos of myself playing when I was younger and I'm like, I wasn't joyful. Like I don't know. You can tell when you're not. It's kind of like when you see a picture of yourself when you were in a past relationship. You're like, ooh, like I wasn't happy. Like you can tell. You're like, ooh, like my vibe was so dark. Like, but you don't know that until after you're out of the dark cloud. You're like, oh shit, like that was not me.
Yeah.
So,
and you know yourself at that time. You're like, oh boy.
You're like, yeah, we had a fight that day, but I'm smiling in the pit.
Oh, it's so crazy when you know yourself and you're just like, wow, no one sees it, but I see it. I was like, I was going through it. And I saw, you know, it's funny you mentioned that. I had looked at old pictures and it was like after a breakup. And then my friend would always take pictures of me while we went out to take pictures. And I was looking at my eyes and I was like, wow. I was like, I was really trying to hide it, but not from me.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, when I look at pictures, I mean, yeah, like I'm not gonna go into detail about, but there's a picture of me I looked at that's from like 4 years ago. And I'm like, I look older.
Were you stressed?
I mean, I was stressed and I was on vacation, which is funny. But I was in a relationship and like when I look back at it, I'm like, oh, I wasn't happy. I was trying to be someone I wasn't. And that's like same thing with music. When I look back at old versions of myself playing music, I'm like, oh, that's not me shining because I'm not joyful about what I'm doing. And music is a relationship, so
yeah, it is a relationship. It's a relationship.
Creativity is a relationship.
It is because you have to and you gotta feed it. You gotta feed it. You can't just. Sometimes you want to just kind of just leave it in the room and just kind of like you're good, right? It's like no, you gotta take it outside. You gotta.
Well, and I guess yeah, you gotta like. I mean, I do also want to make sure I say that like the people who are not creating right now, which is totally okay, like depending on what you're going through, you know, grief, sadness, depression, that is also okay. And when you're ready to come out, there's going to be space for you.
Absolutely. You know, you got to give yourself time. Like, you don't always have to be creating. And I had to tell a lot of my friends that because they were like bugging out because, you know, some of them aren't able to go outside and do what they're doing to create because they can't interact with people. And I was like, yo, you know, it's okay to just chill. Like, you know, take this time to relax. I asked them, like, when was the last time that you had self-care? Because self-care, having enough self-care in your life will generate to a healthy, creative like mindset, you know? Because you're doing, like, it's like a balance that you have to have. You can't just create. And it's like kind of like you're putting yourself in like this job that you don't want to be in your head.
Yeah. And I think that's the beauty of quarantine. Like, I mean, there's not a lot of beauty, but I think if we can look at the bright side of things, it's like we are all being forced to reflect. So if you weren't enjoying the thing you were doing, then how can you look in the mirror and say, well, what do you want to do? What would make your heart think? What would make you feel good? Because maybe let's just use it as an example. Maybe it's not photography. Maybe it's actually writing. Maybe you've lost touch with like your truth. And so now there's all this space if you're not an essential worker. If you have space, it's like, well, who do I want to be? Like, what is true? Rather than like forcing ourselves to do anything right now. Like that's like why would we do that? Life's too short.
Nah, you're absolutely right with that one. It's like life's too short. You can't always think that like you just go to work and then leave and go home, sleep. You know what I'm saying? Like I started painting again and drawing. I was doing that first. That was the first thing I was doing. And I was like, yo, why did I stop? I don't know. I felt like I was home within myself again by being able to like draw characters from my head, paint it, color. And then after I'm done, I'm like, wow, I just created a piece of art like that I personally feel has a lot of value. And
you brought something from the non-physical to the physical.
Yes. and not that a lot of people overlook it, but sometimes it's good to kind of slow down in life. Like when my film classes, you don't see your footage until after you develop it. So that anticipation before the content comes out is like, it really kind of gets you focused, especially when you can't see yet. So you're more focused on what you're doing, opposed to just snap. You know, not to blame Instagram, but like Instagram can be a villain or it could be a hero. It's just that some people just have to learn how to use it in a healthy way, opposed to just saying, "Oh, well, I'm using it bad, so that means it's bad altogether." I feel like that's not the right approach, because we are using it to let others know about how others creatives have their process, and that's an educational platform. But you can also use it for other things like quarantine radio. No shots, but it's just like there's so many different ways to work with the platform that you have, and that's solely up to to everybody. You have a choice to make it. You want to make it useful, or you just just have fun with it.
Maybe you're just expressing. Yeah, I mean, everything has a shadow side, so, and nothing is black and white, really. Like, No. I mean, I think everyone sometimes, I know this happened to me after I went live the other day, and maybe will happen after the competition. Who knows? I don't know. So sometimes, I guess this is for me, like sometimes often I throw myself out there into the arena. This is just my life. I will throw myself out into the arena like a little kitten. Like I throw myself out and I'm like, go, get out there. And then I'm in the arena. I'm like, ah! And then after the arena, then I'm like under the covers, like, God, like I was stupid or whatever. So, you're going to have vulnerability hangovers. Like when you put yourself out there, that's just like part of the process. I kind of let myself have those, but I guess because I worked for multiple companies, like running Instagram. I don't really scroll that much, because I think that's when I pay attention too much to like what hive mind is doing, then I get really lost. So I participate. I contribute more than I participate.
Okay. That makes sense.
But that's also because I've run Instagram before. So the act of scrolling and like liking things literally makes me want to pop out my eyeballs and like put them on the side.
Yeah, it's a different process where you're actually, doing different mechanics and marketing and whatnot, and running stuff. You're like, not that it's like, sometimes to me it does seem like it's a hive-minded thing when you just scroll and scroll. I'm like, I have an endpoint. Like I'll check up on different particular accounts, and then that's it. Like I can't see myself scrolling 10,000 or 9,000 or 1,000 people. Just, the only thing that gets me is the explore page, but I give myself like a 5-second count and then I'm out, because I get trapped and I'm like, oh no, this is worse than YouTube.
Well, and I guess something that I had to start doing when I was running someone's Instagram was I recognized that like when you're scrolling, like most people are not breathing when they're doing that. I gotta
like, check.
Just scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, and then you're like, oh.
Yeah, and it's like, always when you check a DM that you like, all right, let me check this.
It's DM. Like mindfulness practice, and it's triggering, like, because you see news and then you see like a selfie and then you see, so you're like riding this wave of content, and it can be very overwhelming and it can be damaging. It can be upsetting. Like you can come across an ex on accident. You're like, whoa, like I didn't expect that. Like, oh, right. Now someone's food, and then now like some artist that's better than me, and now like it literally can drive you crazy. So, and imagine that's what I had to recommend to anybody.
So like you have to purge it for yourself, like not purge, but like give yourself like a self-care day or a few days, take a week off, because that's overwhelming information that you said, like especially when you're talking about like, oh, you see this, like it's a high, it's like it's happy, it's sad, like, oh no, this is not a memory that I'm trying to walk past. That's a lot. It's overwhelming to any, and that's like a lot of people. So like I feel like anybody who really engages in social media definitely can handle their emotion much better than someone who's really not on social media as much, because they're just constantly thrown with different, like, don't you feel like it kind of like nullifies a person's like, I don't know, like they're kind of
you just have to face your ego all the time.
Yeah. It's like,
well, and like I don't know. It can be really poisonous. I think social media can be an amazing tool, but it can also be poisonous. And because I do a lot of spiritual practice, and even my album is about like facing your ego and then being able to set yourself free from that. Like, I don't think that people who are not on social media don't have those skills. I think that social media is magnifying what we already are doing socially all the time, of like interacting with other humans, like relating to other humans. So I don't know, but you do have to limit, especially like creatives like ourselves.
Yes.
We are very sensitive to sound. We're sensitive to vision. We're sensitive to every sense is more heightened. I mean, I think all people are creative. So like all humans are sensitive. Some are more sensitive than others. But social media also can like depending, like if you say you have your headphones in and you're scrolling, so like you're going to hear sound, you're going to see video, you're going to like, I personally can't be scrolling like that all the time because it messes with my emotions and also just like sensory overload. So, you know.
Yeah, that's that. Yeah, and that I feel that some like a lot of artists definitely, they're not really on social media because they personally know that I like being on there is kind of pull them away from their practice, and their passion and whatnot. So that's why when most of the people that I work with, how do you get so many people on your account, or how many, like the art part is there. But like the logistics and the marketing part is not, because that takes, it's like that business approach. Like it's so tough for creatives to jump into the business because of the factor that like you have to do things that are like, business is not like an easy path. Like it's like really Wolves of Wall Street.
No.
And a lot of people like, I don't know, like I don't really want to do that. So that's why it's better for them to kind of just hire someone else to do it, or they can learn themselves. But it's really like a very, not as like a dark approach, but you have to make a sale, But and then you have to think like, is me being into business going to affect on how my music is? It's like, honestly, it's like creative versus business. Like I feel like those are the two top things that I feel like some artists go through. And they're like, you know what? I'm just going to do what I've been doing and then stay with the art. And then so many dope people that don't get enough attention because of that. But I was like, but it's okay. It's all right. Eventually their fans will bring them into the light,
Well, and I don't know if, I guess like I was saying earlier, it's like, if you're not enjoying what you're doing, then it doesn't matter how many people like what you're doing. If you don't like it, then it doesn't matter if you get 1,000 likes on something. You're going to be like still hungry for recognition and love where it's missing within yourself. So, like, what comes first, the chicken or the egg? Like, what comes first, the followers, the art? It's like, to me, it's like, I think sometimes you just hit a fast lane, like just so happens that you just are like, oh, like everything's converging. Most of the time, everything has to converge after some shit goes down. Like everything has to converge. Everything has to converge like when you've known what it's like to not know yourself. Like I think that, and when you don't know yourself, like, yeah, maybe you are popping off on Instagram, but like, I don't think that you go to sleep at night being like, I've satisfied my human success. Like now I can live. It's like, well, I don't know. I know I keep saying this. It's like, if it doesn't make you happy, then like, it doesn't matter. Like you have to live with you.
Yes, you do. You certainly do. And then you're also accountable in how you respond to certain things that come your way. And that really determines how your character has developed over the years. By certain things, like this might have bothered you 5 years ago, but it might not bother you now. And so Instagram, I feel it's fairly new because Instagram came out really like 2012. So we're like kind of like 8 years into dealing with Instagram heavy. And I've seen the change, but I feel like we're starting to grow to like a mature level with Instagram where it's not kind of like we're not making art based on what people are thinking. Before it used to be, and I feel like we're starting to be like, listen, I'm gonna make my work. If y'all like it, y'all like it. If y'all don't, y'all don't.
Well, and it's like earlier I said, like throwing pasta at the wall, and like some things are gonna stick. Like the thing maybe that you think is gonna stick doesn't usually. Like, I don't know. You just don't know what's gonna resonate with people, and that's what makes it hard. But I just keep throwing pasta on the wall, and like I'm not concerned with. So, I mean, I'm concerned with making people feel good and feeling people with my work. And I'm not saying that I have to face my ego too. Like sometimes I'm like, what do you mean they didn't get this many likes? I got that many, like I have to face that, but I don't let that run the way that I do my business, which is music. And, I mean, I've been a business owner now that I do tarot readings. So I've been doing that for 7 years, I guess. So I've been a business owner and have an Instagram for my own business for a long time. And I feel like Instagram, like you were saying, Instagram's been around for 8 years. I feel like it was really rote for a while. Like, and that's when I was working for that brand.
Yeah.
I was like, everyone's doing the same thing. Like, I'm trying to make the grid look cool. And I'm just like, I don't think that even matters. Like, I don't think anyone's looking at your grid and being like, their grid looks solid, their branding looks solid. I'm gonna, like, that's not the average person is not looking at your Instagram and being like, oh, like, the grid is there. Like, who cares about the grid? Like, again, if you're not making something inspiring to you, like, chances are no one's gonna care.
That's it. You gotta love it. If you love it, then then that's the most important part. And if other people love it, that's just a bonus. You can't let other people.
It's a bonus.
Yeah, it really is. You can't let that dictate.
I say that about relationships when people are like, because I work with clients about. I can't tell you. I've had thousands of clients now who ask me about like, oh, like, does this person like me? And I'm like, do you like you?
That's an important question. Yeah, no one asked that. Would you date yourself? And if you say not really, then how is this gonna move forward at this point? Because it's okay that you don't like yourself at that moment, but it's just like, how do you don't think that someone else liking you is gonna compensate for you not liking yourself, especially for X amount of years. I don't think that's helpful.
No, love, like that's even like my album is about that, called Rise in Love. And there's a question in the middle of the album. I asked the question, I'm like, can we not fall in love? Can we rise in love? And to me, that means like, I love you. So that means I set you free. That means like you are the shape that you are. And I love you for the shape that you are. And you're going to change and you're going to evolve. And I'm going to evolve. And hopefully that means that us both loving ourselves can mean a relationship. But also maybe it doesn't mean a relationship. Maybe it just means like, I appreciate you and I still love you even from afar. Like, love, this song on the record, it's about setting people free. It's called Love's Letting Go. And I feel like the most deep and profound love is like, I love you and I set you free. And that's the same thing I think about creativity. And it's like, I love myself. I love art. So it's like, I'm going to set it free. Like, what shape does it want to take today?
That's deep. You dropped the mic on that one. Pun intended. Lost at words.
Yeah.
That was definitely good. I think at this point we could definitely end and I don't know what to say after that. We could definitely end it on that. But what I'm gonna do is I actually recorded this because Instagram doesn't let me do that. And I'm turning this into a podcast called Coffee and Critique. So I'll definitely send you the snippet, like the link, so that way you can share this with your audience as well, to let them know like this is what it takes to be a creative, and it's okay to not, I
don't know if I answered that question, but
no, you definitely did. You definitely did, because sometimes we answer around, but we answered the question. It just took us longer to get to it. Like I'm guilty of that. If you ask me a question, I'm literally going to explore everything, and then I'll get to answering the question for you. But yeah, I think you really knocked it out of the park on that one. But yeah, I think a lot of people on my end and your end definitely appreciate the fact that you mentioned that it's definitely okay to love yourself and to explore art as a whole. And if you care for it, then that means that others will appreciate it. They don't have to like it, but they will eventually appreciate it. But you're doing it for yourself, and it's a bonus if people love it too.
You're doing it. I guess I like some people ask like, why do you make music? I'm like, because I can't not.
that should be a shirt.
And I was because I can't not. Like when I wasn't doing it, when I look back at pictures again, like when you're in a past relationship, I'm like, ooh, like why wasn't it like so gray? I'm like, oh, because I wasn't doing the thing that when I wake up in the morning, like that's what I want to do. So yeah.
And that plays a major factor. Yeah, absolutely. No, you definitely have to do what you love, and you see it in yourself. You're like, all right, I don't think I really dig this on where I'm at, and how can I get better? But it takes, like the old saying is, sometimes you got to go through hell to get to heaven. Ain't that the truth?
Woo! Wow, you're saying that to the right person. You know, you have to face your demons, and if you're not kind. I want to say this, I guess, lastly, as from artist to artist, like if you're out there and you're not being kind and loving to yourself in this process and in this world, like, would you just try to just be nice? Like treat yourself like you're a friend. Like treat yourself like you're just a little precious being, because all of us are precious beings. And like try to be kind, because then maybe creativity will just flow if you're kind. That's the right soil, you know?
That's definitely perfect. See, you dropping too many gems for these people. That's you're like, I'm just letting the clip out tonight.
Well, thank you so much for talking to me. And it's easy to vibe with you. Like I feel like we're on the same page, and I'm really grateful that we got to have this conversation.
No, I appreciate you being on this live and taking the time to be here and whatnot. Especially, I didn't even know. I thought you were honestly currently in New York, but the fact that you're in Cali makes this 10 times better. That I'm reaching across.
Well,
to
I'll
the
be
West
back.
Coast.
I'll be back. I'll be back. I don't know when. I'm kind of like, I don't know. I don't have a plan for that, but.
Hey, when you do, you do. But once everything opens up, maybe we could collab and work on a project and whatnot.
Yeah, hell yeah. I love a collab, so I'm down.
Sweet. So you have a great rest of your day.
Me too.
Process this MP3 and start working.
Sounds good. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful day, and take care, and be safe, and be kind.
Absolutely. Definitely kind words for the world. Everybody take on that. Be kind. All right. Have a good one. Enjoy your day.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.